If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is VSiN By The Books on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We begin hour number 3. It is VSiN By The Books. I'm Dave Ross here at Circus Sports Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. Our closer, Jensen Lewis, back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Hop, skip, and a jump to get over there to New York City tonight. That's the place to be. If you could be anywhere right now on the sporting calendar, I think you'd want to be at Madison Square Garden. Game number 1 tonight between the Knicks and the Pacers. Gonna welcome back our friend of the show, Sean Little. Does a great job of the Action Network. Give him a follow at Chicago Flow. Joining us here in the Progressive Guest Line. Sean, when you go into the building, I don't know if you saw Stephen A's entrance into OKC last night. Is that what you get when you walk into the Garden? Are people, Sean? Are you high-fiving with Spike Lee and the boys when you go down?
Absolutely not. Some people do recognize me here and there. It also depends how hot I am. For whatever reason, I get more what's ups when I'm hitting picks the last week or so. But either way, I always get a little nod. Some people say what's up, and I just try to go in there and soak it in and feel the atmosphere. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, Sean, it is going to be one of those all-time atmospheres, not only tonight, but especially if somehow the Pacers pull the trick and are able to get the win tonight to force the Knicks into what will probably be the most amplified atmosphere from a pressure standpoint, to try and equalize this series. So let's go first tonight. Pacers 4-point dog, total at 224. It's ticked up a little bit here the last day or two. Keys for you on both sides here. Pacers trying to get out to a quick start. Halliburton, Siakam, and also supporting cast here behind Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. How do you handicap it?
Yeah, this is a tough one because game ones are always interesting. Like an example was what we saw in the Western Conference Finals last night. It looked like, Minnesota's going to be able to hang with these guys. And then next thing you know, they were down 20 points. And it looked like now we have a lot of different questions here this morning as we go over that series. But when we're talking about Pacers-Knicks game 1, 4.5 feels very sharp to me. The total is going to be the question. In 3 regular season games, every total they played was was 229 plus. It got up to 2. I don't want to say the wrong number, but it was pushing in the mid to upper 240s in the third game, and it went over. I'm interested to see if the Knicks are going to be able to play their tempo, their pace in that half court and just slow down the Pacers. And I think that may bring a total number to go under in this spot. And then when you talk about keys to the game, I think personally, fellas, my pick for the series is Knicks -1.5 plus 150-ish in the market. I think the Pacers are starting now to get a little too much love. Everyone is saying the Pacers aren't getting enough love. I think they're starting to get a little bit too much love. I think this is a really good matchup for the New York Knicks. Disclaimer to all my people listening. James Dolan signs my checks. I work for MSG Networks. But tell me where I'm lying when I go through some of these things. The Pacers have absolutely no answer for Karl Anthony Towns. 30 points, 12 rebounds a game in the 3 games this year on 55% from the floor and 9 free throw attempts. He was getting to the line as well. We know they don't have an answer for Jalen Brunson. He has been sensational against them in the regular season. He was great against them last year in the playoffs. And then you add a couple different guys, OG, Mikal, now Mitchell Robinson is back in the fold. So I could talk all day here, fellas, but the key is Karl Anthony Towns is going to be able to score. He had trouble against Luke Cornett. He had trouble against the Pistons. He's not going to have that trouble against the Pacers. And then when you talk about the glass, they won the glass 98-78 in the regular season. And if you go to the playoffs last year, in the first 2 games when they were up 2-0, they out-rebounded the Pacers by 18. I think the Knicks are going to destroy these guys on the glass. They're going to be able to control the tempo a lot more than people think. I think the Knicks get it done 6 games or less.
Sean, I'm always fascinated that it seems like we don't talk about coaching matchups as much in the NBA. We talk about player matchups, right? NFL, we talk about coaching matchups all the time. But you do have Carlisle, who's won a ring back in 2011 here in his Maverick days with Dirk when they beat LeBron and company down there in Miami. And Tibbs always feels like the story that goes away until somebody gets hurt. Then it becomes a story, and it's about Tibbs and wearing his guys out. Is there a coaching advantage one way or the other here in this series?
I think that's well said, Ross. Tibbs gets zero credit for anything. And then when they start to lose or someone gets hurt, everything is Tibbs' fault. He's playing them too many minutes. They're not deep enough. He needs to go look to the bench. So that is a good point. I think Tibbs outcoached Missoula in that Celtics series. Once they did sneak out those 2 games in the first 2 in Boston after coming back from 20+, there was a lot of different things that Thibodeau threw out. He played Mitch Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns a bunch. They did the hack of Mitch. Mitch never saw the floor when the team had 4 team fouls, and that wasn't an option for the Boston Celtics to hack a Mitch. So Thibodeau has done a lot of things that have gone unnoticed, and the rotation. He's played Deuce McBride a lot more. He's gotten Brunson some rest in different spots. So Thibodeau deserves his credit. Carlisle's awesome. I think Carlisle, a few years ago, had a conversation with Halliburton when he came to town, and it was just like, hey, I guess we're going to run this new age, wide open offense, and I trust you, Tyrese Halliburton, to get it done. And he's done a great job along with the front office filling out the roster to support being able to play 8, 9, sometimes 10 guys, depending on the evening.
Sean, I'm anxious to see from an assist standpoint if Tyrese Halliburton is a ladder opportunity. And I know his number at DraftKings at 8.5 minus $1.45 might be an angle to be able to attack there. Speaking of attack, recap from last night for us, because I know Dave and I hit it off the top of the show. Some trepidation here for Minnesota Timberwolves fans on the health of Anthony Edwards and what he could look like potentially into a Game 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've already taken a stab at the T-Wolves money line. I think they've got enough here, especially knowing I don't think they can shoot as bad overall as they did last night. But if Anthony Edwards unavailable, where do the Timberwolves really find another answer outside of Julius Randle for them to try and get back into this series?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, the conversation, kind of like you said, Jensen, around the Timberwolves, as they just didn't shoot it that well. I think it's a little different. Like, if you go back and look at the first couple games of the Knicks and Celtics series, I think the Celtics were missing a lot of wide open threes. I think this is a little bit different. I haven't been able to dig into the second spectrum numbers on closeouts and how much space they had on a lot of these jump shots. But the way Lou Dort and Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso close out on some of these three-point attempts is very jarring. They never jump. They never jump at pump fakes. They do a really good job of closing down. And Minnesota settled. They didn't want to deal with the paint and how cluttered it was, so they shot a lot of jump shots. Anthony Edwards is going to have to get volume up. He had 13 shots. He had 1 shot in the fourth quarter. The difference between him and SGA in that first game was SGA started in the first half. He was 2 of 13. He got to the line. That's a big conversation in the first half. But in the second half is when he started to pick it up and continued to shoot. Even the first couple shots out of half, I believe he missed. I think he started the game 2 of 14.
Ooh.
Did SGA. Was relentless regardless, still continued to shoot. It was a little bit of the opposite for Ant-Man. He tweaked the ankle, came back, looked fine, but just didn't impose his will offensively on the game. And coming in, boys, the Timberwolves this year, 10 playoff games, they were averaging 15 turnovers a game. That was against the Lakers and the Warriors. The Lakers don't create turnovers, and Minnesota was turning the ball over. Golden State's really good at turning the ball over, but I think that was exacerbated with they didn't turn them over as much because Steph wasn't on the floor. A lot of different levers, a lot of different pressures, points weren't being pushed, but still Minnesota was turning it over. So when you get against a team that turns people over the best in the league and then doesn't turn it over, you're going to have trouble. That's what you saw in the second half against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Minnesota's going to have to get volume, of course, knock down shots, but you can't have 13 made field goals from inside the two point inside the arc
Yeah.
from 2 and expect to compete against the Thunder.
Sean, I look at it now, and OKC is ballooned to a $2 betting favorite to win the NBA title. So that from one game, and we'll figure out about Ant's ankle, but not saying they've got a clear path now to the NBA final. But if you like the Knicks, which you do, to win this series, right now the Knicks are plus 475 to win the NBA title. They're the second betting choice. Indiana 7-1. T-Wolves now really drifting in the marketplace. You can understand why after that Game 1 performance. Is there any value in that number for you for the Knicks, or do you feel like OKC would be a bad matchup potentially for New York?
They're a tough matchup for everybody. I mean, the defense, this is some of the best defense I've ever seen, I believe. When we're talking about team-wise, they are relentless, and they have 6, 7, 8 guys that they can throw at you. And then Alex Caruso is also knocking down jump shots. So they're really difficult when we're talking about the perimeter. And overall, Mitch Robinson for the Knicks is a guy inside. But when he gets rebounds, he immediately turns his back and looks to get it back out to the perimeter. You don't want to have to operate almost exclusively on the perimeter like Jalen Brunson and those guys sometimes get coached into doing, because that's playing right into the Thunder's hands. I wouldn't bet the Knicks right now to win the title. If you were really inclined to, I would wait a little bit, maybe potentially, because they're going to have to go to OKC. OKC's going to have the home court advantage. Maybe they go down 1-0 and you can get a really crazy number on the Knicks to come back and win the title.
All right, we've got about 20 seconds to go. If the Knicks lose tonight, are they going to fire Tibbs? Like, how is the city going to overreact if they lose Game 1?
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna lose, so I don't think they're gonna overreact too much. I think it's when Bridges and those guys look timid, and they haven't looked that way in a while. I think Knicks get the series done. I can't wait to see it. They have a lot. This is a good matchup for the Knicks against the Pacers.
It's going to be electric at the Garden tonight, Game 1. Sean, always appreciate it, my friend. Everybody give him a follow out there at Chicago Flow on X. When we come back, our best bets. It is next here on VSiN By The Books.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to VSiN By The Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN By The Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis. Great conversation with Sean Little in the last segment, breaking down the NBA. Going to have Adam Burke join us here in the next segment, get his thoughts on Major League Baseball and beyond. And, of course, Wednesdays with Wes to round out the show today. Got a tournament getting ready to begin tomorrow where Scottie Scheffler, fresh off the PGA Championship, expected, at least in the odds market, to do it again. We had a really fun conversation about UNC, Bill Belichick, the engagement with Jordan. And my mom sent me a little text, Jensen, I wanted to read to you. Mom said, hi, I think at this stage, because we had asked if it's news or noise, I think at this stage it's noise. I hope it's a happy relationship. See, mom's always going glass half full, like me. We're rooting for love. That's what we want for Bill and for young Jordan. Hopefully it's all working out down there in Chapel Hill, right? That's what we're rooting for.
Okay, so is mom looking to back old Bill and Jordan here? Let's see, where's North Carolina now? They're 150-1 to win it all. To win the ACC, they're at 22-1. So Mama Ross saying, let's back the heels and let's back love. Let's believe in love.
My mom and dad certainly listened earlier too. They said they like the Orioles at 50-1, so they like the long shots. Maybe they're going to look to UNC. Not with my money, Mom. Please do not do that with the Orioles at 50-1. Let's get to the best bets that are brought to us by GBank, the official bank of VSiN here each and every day. And just I know you do have some hockey plays that I wanted to get out there today. And start there. And it is Dallas Game 1 against the Oilers. I'm really torn in this series because I do feel like kind of the sharp side today would be Dallas is where I'd be looking on this one. Again, money line's $1.22. Puck line here, you can get 2-1 on Dallas. But my hesitation there is seeing that the series price is basically a pick 'em, and that does surprise me. Like, I actually feel like if you wanted to extrapolate that a little bit, Dallas on the money line price at $1.10 for the series might be even a better play than tonight at $1.22. But you're going to attack it with the puck line tonight?
Yeah, I'll go back to the tried and true for me. And again, the angle for people just joining us, Stuart Skinner, first 3 games of a series has been downright dreadful. Game 4 and beyond, he becomes the dominator of old Dominik Hasek. So tonight, also believe, and I know Brian Valesky will agree with me as a Stars fan, the urgency is probably way more there for Dallas. Because if you allow McDavid, Draisaitl, that group to get ahead early, get ahead of steam, you're walking into a barn that is not real favorable for anyone, let alone a Stars team that's really damn good. So I will take on that puck line again. I'm going to go back to the Hurricanes tomorrow too, Dave. I may get hurt. I may have hurt feelings, but gosh, I got to believe there's some pride there for that group and realizing how they got embarrassed yesterday by the Panthers. So official plays for me on the ice tonight. Puck line for the Stars at plus $1.95. Also puck line for the Hurricanes in pocket tomorrow at plus $2. So again, also always love to throw it out there for people that want to believe that these games could be multi-goal wins for either side. If you do want to take the alternate puck line for Edmonton tonight, then they at 1.5 are plus 240. And I'll look forward tomorrow for the Panthers. If you believe the Panthers are on a multiple puck line winner, or at least multiple puck winner, they're at plus 250. So you can win your money either way if you feel like there's going to be multi-goal victory in either of those games.
At the end of the Jordan era in the 90s for the Bulls, when they get to the finals, and, I remember rooting for Utah, thinking, all right, should I back Utah here, Karl Malone and John Stockton? And then Jordan does what he does, and you go, man, that's Jordan. You see it with Brady and all the Super Bowls, you go, man, how do you bet against Brady? Connor McDavid is not there yet for me, but, when you win the Conn Smythe last year, even though your team didn't win the Stanley Cup, he's getting in that air of, boy, you're watching greatness right before your eyes. But I do think overall you're spot on. I think Dallas does still feel like the side. I just wonder in a week or so if I wake up and go, how did I not bet Connor McDavid again and the Oilers here? So we'll see how Game 1 plays out tonight down there in Big D. Let's get to Major League Baseball tonight. And again, that Yankees-Rangers game tonight. Got to check the weather there. It's been cold, obviously, there in the East Coast. Maybe a tad warmer tonight. You think maybe we'll get some more baseballs getting out of the yard?
I don't know as far as that goes, but I think we see some runs tonight. I'll take a shot at even money over 7.5 for Whiff Wednesday. Those that just joined us too. Also, VSiN.com pro subscribers have these plays in pocket. Also, a plus money opportunity. Jacob deGrom under 3.5 hits allowed. I know people are like, what? 3.5. Under 3.5 hits allowed, plus $1.10. That over now shaded to minus $1.15 at Circus. So perhaps got the better of the number here at even, or at least a price, I should say, at even money on the over. So strongest play, though, for me, Dave, or at least the one I'm most convicted in. We go back to the Padres and those hitters' success against the Blue Jays tonight north of the border. Kevin Gausman going for the Blue Jays. Padres up and down the lineup have had a lot of success historically against him. So I do like the Padres. I got them plus $1.30, plus $1.37 right now at Circus. So I think it's a great underdog spot to back. And I do think the Padres bounce back after getting shut out last night.
Your weather on the 8s right now, I'm getting reports that it's going to be, the real feel is going to be around 50 degrees tonight there at Yankee Stadium. Looks like it's going to be a little bit better today in the weather department than what we've had over there in the last couple of days, that's for sure. All right, Dodgers. They've kind of been on the struggle bus. They get off it yesterday. They get a win against the D-backs. Look, I know it's early, it's May, but it does feel like they struggle to get outs. We know they can score with the best of them here. Is there any trouble in Dodger land, or is this just, hey, don't worry about this Dodger team. At the end of the year, we're going to look up, and they're going to win this division by 5 games?
Yeah, this might be zigging where others are zagging here, knowing that the Dodgers running out Dustin May tonight against Corbin Burns. I know not traditionally a place that you want to go after a staff ace, but boy, at some point or another, the Dodgers have got to put up a fight here, and I think this would be the spot to do it, at least from the numbers standpoint, and kind of like where it's at. Run line right now, 42% of bets, 76% of the handle. So kind of like that, 71% on the over 9. So some runs could be had tonight. And I think that, Mark Machampion is being able to kind of pick yourself back up and get some great individual performances. And why not back an offense that has the weapons that the Dodgers do? So just from a numbers and a data standpoint, I like this spot tonight. And again, hopefully we don't get burned by just one-run victories that killed some of the run lines for us yesterday.
I know everybody can't pitch. There's only one Shohei Ohtani out there, right? But are they becoming the Bengals of the NFL? Where, Joey B is going to run out there and put up 30, 35. And I know it's different 11 on the other side here. You are those guys going out there to play defense, except for the pitching spot there. But are they starting to go, man, we know we can score, but we just got to keep scoring because we have to outscore people because our pitching staff right now, with everybody injured, we just can't count on zeros every night.
That is kind of where we felt that in evaluating the Dodgers to this point. I mean, that division, first of all, you have to give credit where it's due. The Giants and the Padres, the Padres I think we expected could be one of those teams that could challenge the Dodgers. I think the Diamondbacks are also in that category too. The Giants present the most intriguing selection here, I think, just from a staying power and they're not jumping off the page at you, but their pitching staff's been great. Their back end of their bullpen has been solid, and they've gotten just enough offensively. So that's why I said kind of that swipe left, swipe right exercise where we involve just the Padres and the Diamondbacks. Take a look at the Giants. That's your best division in baseball, and I realize that the Rockies stink. But, Dave, we potentially have the opportunity of 4 teams in the National League postseason picture with how they have played to start this season.
It is first world problems here for the Dodgers. They're 11 games over 500. Yeah. They've got 30, right? So it's like, man, if this is the worst of it for L.A., I think they're going to be okay. Very quickly, you've got a WNBA play tonight that you like as well?
How about it? We got the over last night with flying colors here. Thank you very much, Caitlin Clark, although they didn't do it quite well. Let's go to the Mystics and the Valkyries. Golden State, the new franchise there at the WNBA. I like another over tonight. Let's go over 162 points aplenty. And if you go to overtime, we're happy with that as well.
There you go. We'll take the extra minutes if we need it to get to that over. If you have not gotten that GBank Visa signature card, do so today. Most credit cards are going to treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances. Even when you put your own money in the card, GBank's going to treat those gaming transactions as purchases. So you're saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees on gaming transactions right then and there. Also with GBank, you're going to earn 1% cashback rewards on all eligible purchases in sportsbook and gaming transactions and 2% cashback on those eligible purchases. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. We got Adam Burke talking some baseball. We got Wes Reynolds talking some golf that's going on down there in Texas this weekend. So much more to get to. Come on back. It is VSiN by the Books.
You're tuned in to VSiN by the Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back. VSiN by the Books. Dave Ross, Jensen Lewis here. Going to catch up with Adam Burke here in a second. Wes Reynolds, of course, going to join us here to round out the show. Charles Schwab going on down there in Texas. That's where Scotty Scheffler is from. So it's a home game for Scotty. We'll see if there's any numbers we might be able to attack. But you can get the best of those numbers when you are a VSiN Pro subscriber. All you have to do is go to VSiN.com/subscribe. You're going to get 2 extra months for free by using the promo code PRO. So that's $199 for 14 months. Email daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, get all the access to the VSiN Watch app, and cannot wait for that NFL betting guide And it looks like in that NFL betting guide, you better handicap the Eagles, no tush push. Jensen Lewis, it looks like breaking news. Looks like the league might shut that down. So you'll have all access to that information when you become a VSiN Pro subscriber. $199, VSiN.com/subscribe. Without further ado, let's bring in our guy, Adam Burke. Does a great job here on the network as the managing editor. You can give him a follow as I do on X at Skating Tripod. Joins us on the Progressive Guest Line. Adam, before we get to baseball, what are your thoughts on the tush push being banned? The defending reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles get rid of Jalen Hurts on 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1.
Yeah, I hate when there are these league-wide changes that take away strategy elements from a team. I mean, if you don't like the tush push, then find a way to stop it.
Boom.
Or find a way to stop them on early downs before they get into a 3rd and short, 4th and short situation. So I hate these things. I mean, if it was in the interest of player safety, then I would absolutely understand it. But to this point, and I've seen other people talk about this too, there's no data that definitively says that the tush push or something like it creates, additional risk for injury or has created an additional number of injuries. So I just don't think that the league should be able to mandate things like this that change a team's strategy. If you want to use it, if you're good at using it, you should be allowed to use it. It's up to everybody else to stop it.
So well said.
Motion seconded, and
Yes.
Berkey, as we say here in a Lewis Ross administration, that's an executive order on day one to reverse the ban on the tush push. What we are seeing is a reversal of fortunes here in certain spots in Major League Baseball. A great game yesterday between the Tigers and the Cardinals. Tarek Skubal against Eric Fetty. I was listening to you driving home from some youth baseball games I was watching for Michelle's nephew, and you brought up the idea of not liking Eric Fetty. I agreed wholeheartedly with that. But do we like the Tigers to run it back again today? They win 5-4 yesterday in a great game. Do they win it again this afternoon?
Yeah, I think so. I like the Tigers here today. I mean, Andre Pallant is a guy that I have no interest in betting on. I really don't like guys that can't miss bats. He has cut down the walk rate a little bit here of late, which has been a positive for him because he is an extreme ground ball guy. So you start walking guys, you're going to hold runners, balls get through, stuff like that. So at least he's cut down the walk rate. But, I mean, this is a guy that he doesn't have swing and miss capabilities. He's very BABIP dependent. I'm not a huge fan of backing guys like that. And when you look at the Tigers here, I mean, they're going to kind of MacGyver this thing together a little bit with Brant Herter getting the start. So my guess is that Brant Herter starts. He's a 6'6" lefty. And then I'm pretty sure that his piggyback will end up being Chase Lee, who they just recalled from a couple-day stint in AAA. He's a 6-foot-tall right-hander who's more of a sidearm type of guy. So you're going to go from two very, very different release points here early on in this game for this Cardinals offense. Obviously, it kind of dictates what you can do from, structuring your lineup where you start against a lefty, then a righty comes in probably the 3rd or 4th inning, something like that. So I think it makes it a little bit more difficult for the Cardinals here. Tigers bullpen's been really, really good. They have been worked a little bit, so that is a tiny concern for me here in this game. A lot of guys working 3 times in the last 4 or 5 days, but this Tigers team is class, man. I mean, they're really, really good. They've got the highest pull air percentage in Major League Baseball, so they're actually driving the ball this year as opposed to what they've done in the past. I think this Tigers team is really, really good, and I think they're the right side here today as I look to fade Andre Pallant and the Cardinals.
Yeah, they might not be the 84 Tigers, but they look pretty darn good, and all of a sudden we trust them here as you do today in the betting market. Very quickly, St. Louis side. They're only a game and a half out after that loss yesterday in the wild card race. I know it's mid-May, early to be looking at that sort of thing, but I just wonder, do they have staying power, or is this just a really hot stretch for St. Louis to get back in the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, I don't really like this team a whole lot. I mean, I don't think that there's a lot of depth to this team, specifically in the starting rotation. You're talking about, 3 guys on the wrong side of 32, especially with Sonny Gray and Miles Michaelis, that, if those guys get hurt, if those guys get banged up, there's really not a whole lot of reinforcements coming from below. The bullpen is very, very top heavy as well, where Ryan Helsley is an awesome reliever. Everybody else is kind of mediocre. And look, guys, I mean, this is a Cardinals team. As you look here, I mean, they're 6th in batting average with runners in scoring position. They have a .315 batting average on balls in play. They don't have a ton of contact quality to their lineup that makes me think that they can stand out in a lot of these key areas. I think they're just playing at a really good level right now. And I think there's something to be said about teams that are very experienced early on in the season, guys that can settle in quicker than maybe some of the younger players and some of the younger lineups. But I think as we get to the dog days of summer, as this team gets a little bit tired, as some numbers kind of level off, I do think that the Cardinals will fall off the pace in the NL Central.
Yeah, I would agree. Right now, still plus 240 to make the playoffs. The Cardinals are on DraftKings. A team that will not be making the playoffs this year, that is the Chicago White Sox. They are 40-1 in case you wanted to burn any of that hard-earned money. The Seattle Mariners, though, very intriguing team. I know that I had picked them to win the American League West. They have some semblance of offense this year, but then they get into these points, Adam, where you're like, really? Okay, am I falling for this again? Where do we kind of handicap this afternoon matinee with the Mariners and the White Sox?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't bet on the White Sox to do anything, in the futures market with your money or Dave's money, or if I still had any stimulus money left or anything like that. But as far as this game goes, I mean, I like the under 8 in this game. So it's going to be chilly in Chicago. It's going to be damp. It's going to be cloudy. It's going to be an ugly type of getaway day game. Seattle's got 4 on deck down in Houston, so that's a big series for them. It's always a big series when those two teams come together. It's become a very good rivalry out there in the American League West. But I really like this Shane Smith dude for the White Sox. I mean, the stuff is pretty strong. His numbers, his performance here so far this season, he's been one of the few bright spots for this Chicago team. 2.05 ERA, 3.44 expected, 3.15 FIP, good strikeout to walk ratio, keeps the ball in the park. He's got just a 4.2% home run to fly ball percentage. It's hard to get rocked. It'll happen, but it's hard to get rocked when you've got that type of statistical profile. And for Logan Evans, I mean, look, I think that Seattle is doing a really good job with some of their depth guys now, which they've had to tap into with George Kirby and Logan Gilbert both hurt. I think Emerson Hancock is kind of underrated by the market. I think Logan Evans is a little bit underrated too. Now, I realize the expected metrics are nowhere near the actual metrics, 2.57 ERA, 4.68 expected ERA, but he's just a low strikeout guy, a pitch to contact guy, takes the sting out of the bat. He's usually a big ground ball guy. So I think he'll start to get back to that as he kind of, pinpoints his arsenal and his pitch selection at the MLB level. But the White Sox offense continues to be really bad. I mean, yeah, there's probably regression signs for Evans, but you got to think about the opponent too. If he's facing the Dodgers or the Yankees or something, sure, maybe those come to fruition. Facing the White Sox, he's got a better chance of keeping those things at bay. So I do like the under 8 for the full game. I like the under 4.5 for the first 5 a little bit more, just because I hate this Chicago bullpen in so many ways. But I think this will be a lower scoring game on the south side here between the Mariners and the White Sox.
Could you imagine if you had an exacta ticket yesterday on the Reds being shut out at Pittsburgh 1-0 and the Mariners being shut out in the south side 1-0? Oh, we could have retired on that one. Very quickly, the Metropolitans in the East have now faded to a 1.5 behind the Phillies. Phillies have now vaulted to be the favorites to win the division, plus $1.15. Mets just slightly behind that pace here. But here come the Braves at 4-1. If you're looking at that division here, do you kind of re-look at the Braves and say 4-1 feels like a fair price going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm disappointed to some degree with how Spencer Strider looked yesterday, but at the same time, that won't be Spencer Strider going forward. And so I'm actually kind of a little bit pleased with it because now you can still get a good price on Atlanta. I feel like if Strider came out there and shoved yesterday, 6 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, something like that, the market would have bought in already. But the fact that he didn't pitch all that well, I think kept that price. It kind of locked it in and froze it for us a little bit, at least for a couple more days before Ronald Acuna Jr. comes back. I think it's a good time to bet on the Braves. They're a team that tends to get hot in the summer anyway. When they won the World Series a few years ago, they were 50-1 heading into August to win the World Series. They left the month of August leading the division. They were trailing by a few games going into it. So this is just a team that plays well when it heats up. Maybe it has something to do with the weather and how they hit a lot of fly balls, stuff like that. But I think we're getting close to buy time on the Braves here, and it may very well be over the next couple of days before Acuna comes back. And, I actually got asked yesterday, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Dave. I got asked yesterday, on Money Moves, like, which team from the NL East kind of gets shut out here?
Oh, no.
And I think it would, at this point in time, be the Mets. I think that certainly they could be a wild card team. Maybe we'll only get one out of the National League West. But if I had to take a pick, if somebody told me Phillies, Braves, or Mets for this division, the Mets would be my third choice.
Enjoyed most of that conversation today with Adam Burke. He's our managing editor here at VSiN. Give him a follow at Skating Tripods. Actually, Adam, I don't disagree with you at all. When we come back, Wes Reynolds is going to talk some golf. That's next here, VSiN by the Books.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tuned in to VSiN by the Books, right here on VSiN.
We are back, VSiN by the Books. Dave Ross and Jensen Lewis enjoyed our conversation with Adam Burke, even though that Mets part got a little bit dicey at the end, but I understand where Adam's coming from. By the way, it is not official that the tush push is going to be banned. They're going to vote on that in a couple hours, but it does look like the rule change where the Lions were offering up the opportunity to potentially reseed in the postseason does not look like that's going to have the vote, so we're going to keep the current playoff system in the NFL. So this stuff is happening in real time. I'm glad that is not going to be changed as well. I'm still surprised that it looks like the tush push could be headed out. Let's talk to Wes Reynolds. Always love catching up Wednesdays with Wes. Give him a follow on X at Wes Reynolds and the number 1. Joins us here in the Progressive Guest Line. Before we get to the Charles Schwab, you know, Indianapolis, certainly the coach there, Shane Steichen, used to be with the Eagles staff there. I know he's not the father of the tush push. It looks like they give that to Sirianni. That really could be Jason Kelsey and or Frank Reich. You can go that far back here. But, Wes, what's your initial thought on that from a football betting perspective here? If they actually take this play away, not just from the Eagles, but we know the Bills do it a lot, and we know Steichen liked to do it a lot there for Indianapolis.
Yeah, Dave, thanks for having me. I was having trouble making you out. I think there might be a mic open in the back in the studio there. So was going to try to make out what you said. But, yeah, look, you knew that this was going to happen at some point. You knew that this was going to happen, that they were going to try to legislate this thing when somebody does something that works, like the Philadelphia Eagles have done with the tush push. You knew that there was going to be something that was going to happen. And, you know, rules change. You got to change with the rules, and that's what you got to do with the better is it adjusts.
Wes, we head now to the Scotty Scheffler Invitational, if you will, off of a hell of a major win at the PGA, and so in his own backyard, just an absurd betting favorite here as we enter the Charles Schwab. I know you've got some guys in the 30-1 and north range that you're targeting. Give us a look early at the top of your card.
Yeah, Jensen. I'm going to try to be very judicious with how I wager on this thing, so it's going to be a lot smaller because of the Scotty Scheffler fear factor, I think, you know, and the fact that he wants to win this tournament badly or he would not be in the field. If this event was not in Texas, you'd probably see him withdraw this week, but he wants to complete that Metroplex sweep, if you will, because he won Dallas 3 weeks ago at the Byron Nelson. So a couple guys that I targeted, I was looking basically for a lot of good iron players. This is not a very long course, so you don't have to take driver off the tee as much. So 5-1, one last fall at the Wyndham at Sedgefield, which has some really strong correlations at Colonial. 6 top 25s in his last 9 starts. He's made the cut here in all 3 appearances. A shorter course that I think fits his game better than a longer track like Quail Hollow last week. And then Maverick McNeely about the same price in that 30-1 range, who won the RSM Classic to finish off 2024. 5 top 10s, 3 of them top 3 or better. He's in that Ryder Cup mix, kind of on the outside looking in, wanting to make that team, so certainly motivated. And then J.J. Spawn at 60-1, who was 3rd last week in the field in driving accuracy. Never really fired here at Colonial, but I think he's a really good fit on this course. He's 4th on strokes gained approach for the PGA Tour this season, and that's what you got to be. You got to be very good with the iron play this week.
You know, Wes, I'm glad you brought up certainly some of those longer names there, like Mav McNeely here for the Ryder Cup coming up here in September. But when I look at Scotty this week, is this the type of tournament that you go win or without? That you like, even if Scotty gets off to a slow start by his measure on Thursday, the odds don't adjust very much, if at all. Sometimes they even get shorter, even though he could be 3-4 back after a first day. How do you approach Scotty in particular for this week?
Dave, this is probably one of those few tournaments, and I usually don't like to bet that without market necessarily because, of course, you're taking discounted prices when you do that. But this is probably one where you're going to have to do that or at least look at doing that to some degree because he's finished second, third, and second the last 3 years here at Colonial. So you feel like if he brings like kind of his B or B minus game, he can still win this thing. So I think that that's probably a prudent way to approach that if you're at least doing the outright market or maybe put a little more weight heavy into like placement market stuff where if you're not betting the without market, then the guys that you bet on the outright card, you need to be betting like maybe even in the top 5 and the top 10 range, even though I like to go top 20 and be a little bit more conservative as I approach that.
Wes, I love it. And also we love the Long Shots podcast. You guys do such a great job week in and week out. Let's go to the long shots, guys that you like here. And also to parlay with your winner without market, because I think it's a fantastic one to look at specific tournaments, this one being one of them. Guys on the outside looking in or maybe in the triple digits that you like this week.
Yeah, one that's still single digits, Ryan Gerard at around the mid-70 range, who was 8th last week in the PGA, 2nd in strokes gained ball striking, even better than Scotty, if you can imagine that in that category. And then the triple-digit guys, Bud Cauley, 100-1, who started this year on that major medical extension, was dealing with some injuries, but filled that obligation. He had 3 straight top 6 finishes back in March. 5th on this shorter, like less than driver type course here at Colonial. Bud Cauley 100-1, and then Rio Hasasane at 120-1, who made the cut last week at the PGA. 2 top 5s in his last 8 starts. Very good in Texas in a short sample size. Was 5th at the Valero a couple weeks ago. T13 at the Byron Nelson. So he's gone very well at Texas, and I just thought kind of a high number for a guy that's been playing good golf, and we saw that last year at this event with Davis Riley when he finished, or he was 250-1 when he went off in the tournament and ended up winning the thing by 5 shots.
Wes, I don't know if we're going to see Scotty again after this week until the U.S. Open at Oakmont, which is also in Texas. I mean, everything feels like it's just lining up for the year of Scheffler. Dare I say, you know, if he gets this done at the Open next month, it's just a couple weeks away, actually, till we get to the U.S. Open. And then Royal Portrush to round out the major season here. I mean, he could complete the Grand Slam this year. Would you bet against Scotty at Oakmont next month?
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous to do so, considering he's now dropped to about 3-1 to win the thing after what we saw at Quail Hollow over the weekend. But he's getting into kind of a favorable stretch of courses right now. Of course, the Memorial at Muirfield, he has won there before. It's probably going to take the Canadian Open off and then go right into Oakmont, which, look, that's the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open is a different breed in terms of the major. This is an event where you're not going to win with a lot of strokes under par. You're going to have to make pars, and you're going to have to grind it out. So it's a different type of golf. And, look, Scotty Scheffler certainly can do that. And we saw that in spots a little bit last week because he was the guy that I think made the fewest mistakes. It wasn't like he led in every statistical category across the board. He just kind of did a little bit of everything well. And that's what you got to do at the U.S. Open. You got to take your medicine. You got to save pars. Sometimes you got to save bogeys and just not make more trouble for yourself. And I think Scotty Scheffler certainly has the ability, I should say, to do that.
All right, Wes, we got to get your thoughts on your Pacers headed into Game 1 at MSG tonight. I was telling Dave, I said there's a couple of ways I would play this, and shout out to our friend of the program, the cup maker, Jeff Seeley. If we wanted to have Scotty to win the U.S. Open, parlay it with either the Fever to win the WNBA title or the Pacers to get to the finals, what do we feel about Pacers and Racers coming up this week?
Yeah, I think the Pacers are going to win the series. I went a little bit more judicious and bet them plus 1.5 games and laid some juice. Now, that means they basically got to go 7. But I think, clearly New York is getting all the media hype. There's a lot of the television and radio programmers and executives that are like, the world doesn't exist out of New York, Basically, it's a coronation for the Knicks. Well, the Pacers beat these guys last year, and I think that they can do it again. I think the Knicks are just so shorthanded when you're only playing 7 guys. And eventually you get one little injury, you get one guy nicked up, and we saw that play out here. And the Pacers, with their depth, were able to take control of the series. So did not bet game 1 tonight, but I do like the Pacers in the series. I think they're going to be moving on to the final.
Wes, let me ask you this, because they did win a Game 7 there in the Garden last year. Would you look at it in 6 to get it done in Indiana, where obviously they're not deterred if it does go back to a 7, but you're still seeing a long series, correct?
Yeah, I am. And look, maybe it's a little bit of PTSD because if you go back to the 90s, and that doesn't obviously apply to today, the Pacers always have a chance to close out a series in Game 6, and they never seem to get it done in Indianapolis. So I feel like this is going to be in Game 7 for the Garden, and the Pacers are going to have to try to do it again 30 years later like Reggie Miller did.
Oh, my goodness. The Davis boys, Reggie, the choke sign to Spike Lee. Take me back, Wes. That was a great era. We appreciate you, my friend. Good luck this weekend at the Charles Schwab.
Thank you, fellas, for having me. Appreciate it.
There he is, the great Wes Reynolds. Give him a follow on X at Wes Reynolds and the number 1. Jensen, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll do it again tomorrow. A numbers game. Gil Alexander, Kelly Bidlin, they are coming up next.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.